Y'all can see my voice got way better. So how was yesterday overall? I guarantee you that yesterday was great. Today's going to be better, I promise. We have a stacked lineup for y'all. And I'm super excited for it. I'm super thankful to be here. Thank you again, Christian. But I did have something that I wanted to chat with you guys about this morning. It's been on my mind for a while, something that I've been thinking about as far as this business goes. And I was curious, by show of hands, who here's in a relationship? Well, it's quite a few of y'all didn't raise your hand. That's interesting. So I find that interesting because I would contend that you're all in a relationship. Matter of fact, I would contend that you're in a whole mess of relationships because insurance is a relationship business, is it not? Would you guys agree when I say that? Yes. So then if we all agree that insurance is a relationship business, then wouldn't it behoove us to get better at building relationships? Right? So what is a relationship? I was actually dumb enough to look up the definition because I thought it would be something really cool and abstract. Turns out it's extremely, extremely simple. The definition of relationship is the state of being connected. Thanks, Copernicus. It's the state of being connected. Now, obviously, that connection can exist between two individuals. It can exist between an individual and a business entity. It can exist between two business entities. I mean, the truth is there are connections everywhere that you look. I have a connection with this floor. Doesn't mean I want to build a relationship with it. Unless maybe sleep or homelessness isn't my objective. So then it begs the question, well, what are the relationships we should be building? What are the connections that we should be getting into? Do we just plug into everything that's out there? Or maybe is there a more coordinated effort that we can kind of strategically go after some different relationships to figure out? And I believe that there are basically 8 fundamental levels of relationships that an agent can learn to master in order to maximize their success. And I kind of think of it like the musical scale. I originally went to school for music. So when you look at the octatonic scale, there's 8 notes on it, right? You kind of, if you guys are paying attention, you're seeing the analogy here. We all want to scale our business, and you can scale it through 8 levels of relationships, very simple. And you'll notice, just like the octatonic scale, the bottom note and the top note are the same. So it should clue you in that there's a repeating cycle that I'm about to explain to you. I consider it an agent's development cycle as they learn to build relationships. Now, the first 4 of these relationships are prerequisites. If you can't figure them out, you're not an insurance agent. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're not making money. And you'll understand very quickly what I'm talking about. The second set of 4 are the extracurricular relationships that some agents don't really bother with. And that second set of 4 is the difference between an agent that maybe makes a good living in the business versus an agent that builds something special, something unique, maybe something massive, maybe something that creates legacy. Anybody interested in building some legacy? Awesome. So let's just dive right into these. How do you first get into insurance? You get recruited. Because nobody wakes up and's like, shit, I got nothing to do. Let's go start selling insurance. And except for Joe Camper and maybe Josh Lustig in the back. But the rest of us all find, I can't remember the statistic, I read it somewhere, but it's the overwhelming majority of agents, someone introduces them to insurance. Whether it's maybe as a friend from their warm market, maybe they answer a recruiting ad, a job posting, anything like that. But ultimately that first introduction is what becomes level 1, and that's usually your upline. The person that brings you into the business and is there to mentor you, guide you, support you, and truly teach you the business. And that is an extremely valuable and very important relationship because if it's not done well, agents can wash out of the business immediately at level 1. Almost happened to me, but thankfully I met someone that was able to mentor me properly. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. The difference between a lot of agent success is that level 1 is that relationship with their upline if it is truly a good mentorship. And that could be an individual, that could be maybe a large-scale FMO, a broker, an MGA, could be the insurance carrier if you're working directly for the insurance carrier. But that relationship is the foundation of how we all get in. Now, what happens next after you establish that relationship? You develop a relationship with the state because they make you go get a license, right? You got to get fingerprinted. You got to get background check. You're in the system. Now, I know some of y'all had a relationship with the state before you got here. That's okay. We're not going to pick on you about it, but I will say, since we're on that topic, I'm going to give y'all one little tip, because I've been working in wholesale for a long time now. I see a ton of contracts come across my desk. I'm not going to point any fingers, but if you're like me and you're one of those guys that has to check off yes to one of the background questions on the contract, we do not need a 6-page collegiate thesis on why you no longer make bad decisions. 3 simple sentences is about all we need, I promise you. Right? All you have to say is, let's see, in Tupelo, Mississippi, was convicted of cruelty to animals. Paid a fine, contact me with more questions. Signed, Justin Seabrock. Like, that's all you got to write. You don't need to write anything else. And y'all laugh, but I'm serious. Some of y'all are writing letters of explanation like it's a Hunter S. Thompson novel. We don't need all that, right? If HIPAA wasn't a thing, I would be rich from creating a whole set of lewd pulp novels on the sordid affairs of risk management. Because you guys are phenomenal what y'all write out there. But yeah, 3 simple sentences is all you need. But you do have a relationship with the state, right? And the state sets the standards. They set the guidelines. They set the rules of the game. And they set the penalties for when you decide to color out of the lines. And obviously, if you don't manage that relationship correctly, well, then you find yourself without a license and you can't write insurance at all. Now, if you only have one state, it's not that hard, right? It renews every couple of years. You do your CE credits, you pay your fee, and you're good. For some of you guys, I know you're working in a whole lot of states. It gets tough to manage all that crap, right? Anybody ever not gotten paid a commission because they forgot to renew one of their out-of-resident licenses? Happens. A good CRM will help you keep track of that. What happens next? Your upline hands you a big stack of contracts, right? Fill all these out. And now you have a relationship with all these different insurance companies. And they, similar to the state, they set their standards and guidelines for what they want you to do, how they want you to behave. And if you don't treat them well, then, well, they'll terminate your contract. And they have no problem doing it. I know a lot of agents like to believe that they're an agent of the customer because we want to do what's right by customers. But the truth is, if you look inside the contract, it says in plain black and white that you are an agent of the company, which means you always have to act in that company's best interest. Give them the type of business that they want. Follow the guidelines that they have. Treat them fair. And the truth is, as good as a lot of these insurance carriers are with the volume of business that we're pushing through, shit happens. Things happen. Apps get lost. Contracts don't get picked up and taken care of. Commission payments get errored, right? Stuff happens. It's a law of numbers. Millions of people are getting written insurance on a daily basis. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Stuff happens. So when those things happen, it's incumbent upon you to be a professional when you're dealing with the people at that insurance carrier to get it resolved. Because I promise you, if you call them with a mouth full of foul language and an abusive attitude, they will terminate your contract. I've had to have that conversation with agents. Mutual Omaha called me one day and they're like, hey man, you got to set your boy straight. Like he's calling our people and calling them names, foul language. And I was like, dude, you can't talk to people like that. They're going to terminate you and I can't earn an override. So you have to learn to be a professional. Please take care of the insurance companies, because if you don't, then you're going to lose them and then you can't write that product anymore. Now, the 4th level is the obvious one, and that's your customers, right? If you don't have customers, you can't make money. And it's obviously very important that you learn to maintain a phenomenal relationship with your customers, because as Walt Disney said, do what you do so well that your customers come back again and again and again, and they bring, this is the important part, they bring their friends and family with them. So if you can truly develop a phenomenal relationship with your clients, and I don't mean you got to be their best friend. You don't have to be their best friend, but you have to reach out to them. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you're doing right by them. Send them thank you cards. Send them birthday cards. Do proper client retention to make sure that they have the policy that they like the policy that you sold them, and that they have everything that they need. Because I promise you, if you do, they will bring their friends. If you don't, they're going to find someone else to work with, because they're getting phone calls every day. Now, those are the 4 prerequisites, right? If you can get through those 4, you're making money. You got an upline, you got some contracts, you're licensed, you even got some customers. But taking it a step further, step 5 are the vendors that you might work with. Some agents don't take time to develop good relationships with vendors. I have a phenomenal relationship with Chris Weir and the people at Lead Concepts because I work on it, right? I'm extremely transparent in the communication that I have with them so that they know exactly what my objective is. And I'm not just talking lead vendors when I'm talking about vendors. Vendor category is anybody that you have to cut a check to as an expense for your business. Could be your CPA. Could be an attorney if you need help drawing up contracts. Could be the landlord that you pay rent to for your building. Could be the virtual assistants that you hired Glenn for. Anybody that you're cutting a check to help you run your business better, learn to develop a great relationship with those people. And I'll tell you one really easy tip. First is good communication. Let them know what you need and make sure you follow through on that with them. 2, don't dump your emergency in their lap to try to make it their emergency because you're disorganized. But more importantly, when they do a good job, tell them. Tell them they did a good job. There's so often that somebody does a great job for you and you don't bother being like, know what, man? You went above and beyond. This lead campaign you built for me is great. Those virtual assistants that took care of me, they're saving me time. I'm making more money. Thank you. Leave them a review on Google. Leave them a review on Facebook. You'll be surprised how quickly they answer your phone calls and your emails when you remind them how good of a partner they are for you. And then they'll begin to look out for you. They'll call you and go, hey, we have some better ideas that we can use to elevate your campaign. Or I've got some better ideas on how we can get those virtual assistants doing some more work for you to free up more time, get more money in your pocket. Level 6 is your network. Yeah, had to think for a second. But level 6 is your network. It's the people in this room. Now, I would like y'all to take just a quick moment to look around at the people in the room and just kind of take a moment to notice who's here. Take a good look at them. They're people just like you. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Just look around. My point here is that everybody in this room should be part of your network if you're doing it right. Because the people that are in this room are not your competition. They're your brotherhood. Your competition are the big industrial or institutional type companies that are invading our business and building these monster centers. Amazons, Walmarts, Googles, they're all getting involved because they know how big the opportunity is. So learn to build a great network of people that are around you that you can learn from. You can lift up, they can lift up you. This is one of my favorite stages in the business is when I start networking with people and build relationships with these people to find out how I can grow, how I can help them grow, and what we can accomplish together. At this stage, you find camaraderie, you find admiration, you find accomplishment, accolades, people patting each other on the back. We all have the same goal for the most part. We want to sell a shit ton of insurance and build something so that we can provide for our families and have some freedom together, right? So if we're all thinking on the same thought process, doesn't it make sense that we want to build relationships with each other? Surround yourself with people that think like you, that want the same success as you, and it will rub off on you like osmosis almost. And then I'm always of the opinion also that, I have between my microphone, the juice that I have to keep drinking, and this thing, it's hard to, I need 3 hands up here. So I've kind of always been out of your network. You should have a round table of people that you kind of consider your advisors. People that are a little better at an aspect of the business than you are. And you can call them and say, hey, I have a question about this, right? I have a question about this, whatever it might be. And this is where it starts to get really fun. Because out of those last 2 levels, level 5, your vendors, level 6, your network, you can move into level 7, which is strategic partnerships, and that's when things really get crazy. That's when you can really start to scale something big, right? And what is a real strategic partnership? Well, obviously, it's an alliance between 2 entities that have the exact same customer base, but they go about working with that customer base in non-conflicting ways, right? For example, a Medicare agent and a financial planner. They both want to talk to retirees, but for 2 different purposes. One of the best strategic partnerships you can find. I don't think Cameron's in here today, but if you ever want to really know what it's like to build a great network with financial planners, talk to Cameron Giardini and his mom, Joanne Giardini. They're partners. Phenomenal business model. No leads, no marketing, no expense to try to find customers. All they do is educate financial planners about Medicare. And then those financial planners are like, well, shit, I don't want to talk about that. I'll just give you all my customers. You can do it. And so now they have all this. They have this giant financial planner network that they built that just referring people all the time. And they just run webinars for all their people and close business. Provider relationships are also another great strategic partnership. While I was at Medicarians, there was a phenomenal panel that had one of the top VPs of Oak Street Health. There was another, I can't remember the name of that. I want to say it was Physicians Partnership or something. And there were a couple of big distributors on that panel. And they were talking about, the topic was, what does a doctor want in a broker? And all they talked about was how those partnerships work together. And it blew my mind that a couple of different people that were up there, and not only on the agent side, and how knowledgeable they were and what doctors in those clinics are really looking for. They're not just looking for someone they can kick business to. They're looking for a whole different alliance that is truly, truly special. I see a lot of agents don't take time to try to find partnerships. I mean, on the very bottom level, just go find one financial planner that can help refer you Medicare people. Find a P&C guy that has an aging book. Anything and everything that can help you get more business in your books. This is where things really get special. And then that leaves us to the final level, level 8, which is building a downline. Now, I'm going to use that word downline because it's a very generic technical term in insurance. I'm not using it derogatory. If you ever call your people downline, you should just get rid of your license. They're your business partners. But this actually encompasses everybody that's in your business, whether it's a downline, a 1099 independent agent, an employee, whatever it might be, where you're truly starting to duplicate your business. Because now that you've made it through these 7 stages, you have learned how to grow a phenomenal business, and it's definitely time for you to start teaching someone else. And then you can start to duplicate yourself over and over and over again. And if you noticed, if you remember earlier when I said it's a repeating process, because this is the same note as the first note. It's the downline, upline relationship. But now you're at the top and it's flipping back around. And now you're taking that agent and you're becoming the upline. You're introducing him to the state, hopefully in a good light. You're introducing him to insurance carriers, getting him contracted. You're getting him customers, vendors, getting him tied into a network, showing him how to build a strategic partnership, and then showing him now how to tutor people. And it just keeps going over and over as you keep moving up the scale, and your business begins to vibrate at a higher frequency, attract more people, and continue to grow and scale. Does that make sense? So I'm going to leave you guys with one item before we get our first speaker up here. It's not a tricky QR code, I promise. There's no conversion forms behind it. I'm not trying to track you or nothing. This is just to a LinkedIn article that I wrote that will give you 5 tips on how you can get better at actually building relationships. So if you're welcome to scan that, it is a very good article. If you do scan it and check it out, please like it, share it, all that fun stuff so other people can enjoy it.